Hello there friends, Mystery here reporting live for Sloptide News Network, your most trusted source for all things Darktide, and of course Slop, and of course Skitarii, which is the thing that brings us all here together again today. It is time for another Skitarii dev blog. This time around it is about the character creation, but the customization aspect. What sort of things are we going to be able to change about these characters when we're making them in that forge area? Last time we talked about the actual mechanics behind that. They were teasing us on, we'll actually be seeing a physical demonstration of the machinery, the way that we are choosing our quadruple amputee, little core nugget Skitarii, and then we are going to have the machinery come in and augment them with the different chest plates and face masks and all that stuff, the cybernetic limbs. So it's really, really cool. We get to see that, and today we'll talk about exactly how that stuff could be further customized. Now, I do stop short, however, of talking about any further customization that's going to happen for the class. What sort of cosmetics we can hope to get, whether through penances or whether through purchases. I'm just hoping that given the amount of customization they're teasing here, that bodes well. Servo fingies crossed for it, carrying over to being lots and lots of customization for those characters, because these guys are going to look so cool and be so different to anything that we have right now. I really hope that they went all out and gave us lots of fun options for that. So with that being said, let's get underway here. As a reminder, if you want to help support independent games journalism and real truth telling that like we do here, you can subscribe to the channel, or supporting the channel by becoming a member is a great thing to do. Helps me out a lot. Thank you guys for your support. Let's begin, and I'm going to skim over the part here where these guys introduce themselves. I will link this in the description if you want to go read the dev blog yourself. But suffice to say, the original idea was, hey, maybe we'll start with the Skitarii being a human model, but then they decided that this actually could be a project of a larger scope. So in their work here, and I mentioned this last time when we were talking about the feature from last week, when I was talking about the phosphor pistols and all this sort of stuff, these things exist in lore, right? There are pictures of the phosphor pistol in lore. There's pictures of the Skitarii and the galvanic rifle in lore. But the only thing you'll find as far as the creation process for the Skitarius is the description, a verbal description, or maybe it might exist narratively in books, but it's never been actually shown, and there's no real detail given even on the Wikipedia page. It's a mysterious process, the creation of a Skitarii. So they got to pretty much work with Games Workshop and more or less canonize this development process. So this is canonically how Skitarii are made now. They start out as one of these guys, handsome, probably like 7 out of 10s, and then they are augmented. They go through an augmentation process, and this can, take a couple different forms. Then they are suited up and, slapped on their robes and set out there on the battlefield. And I think that's pretty cool. They got to sort of work through the baseline level of that and really decide, how do Skitarius sound? How do they, because again, this is maybe the most fleshed out. This is definitely the most fleshed out Skitarii representation in any actual piece of like live media. So they got to really nail it, and they probably had Games Workshop on their back the entire time, like leaning over their shoulder, which must have been nerve-wracking. But I think the results here are going to be pretty impressive. So one thing that they assess really early on here is that, of course, you will go through this customization process where you start with your little nugget and then you build onto them your different limbs and stuff. But remember that you're not going to see almost any of this, probably none of it, when you have your finished product down here, right? You're completely cloaked in armor and metal. So we need to be able to customize this character without it necessarily being about this part of the character, the actual piece. And a lot of this is, again, covered in robes. So you can pick, one way they've decided you can customize this is from your background. Now this is much like we had with the regular classes. You have that background of kind of like your origin story. Then you have your background of your homeworld. So we have the 3 that are featured here. Mars, Branks Minor over here. And then this is, shoot, I can't remember. But yeah, the Forge Worlds, they have not declared whether or not this is all of them, or maybe there might be more than those 3. I'm gonna look at which one was that. Ryza. Okay, that's right. Yeah, so we have those 3. I don't know, maybe there's more, but still, that's still a pretty good amount. And they said that this doesn't just affect your starting cosmetics. So there are very likely also custom voice lines, just like when you choose the Cadian sort of homeworld when you are making your character will have specific lines for circumstances if they are Acadian. And they'll also have certain customization options they can only unlock if they're Acadian. I imagine similar things that probably apply here, where there's certain metal patterns or metal colors that only are available if you are manufactured or assembled on one of these Forge worlds, which can be pretty cool. So as far as like which one might have the best lore implications, Branks Minor over here, this is in the same system as Tertium, or as Atoma Prime rather. So that's going to be probably the best one in terms of getting relevant lore to what's been going on in the local system, if you're interested in that. Now, beyond that, of course, we have to customize this character. And this character doesn't exactly have hair color, but they do have eye color, right? And like, so I don't know about you guys, but eye color is certainly a thing that you can select in the game right now. But even though it is Pride Month and I'm a big supporter of that, I don't really exactly spend a whole lot of time close enough to my homies' faces that I can tell what eye color they are, at least not in Darktide. So that is going to be a big difference here with the Skitarii, because they got these adorable big orbs where their eyes are supposed to be, these lenses, and these are going to be customizable. They can be any different color. Well, not any different color, but the selective different colors that they'll tell you. Maybe that's assigned to the Forge world as well, but they can be different colors if you want to have one that's like one color and one the other one. I imagine there's probably options here where one of them is not illuminated or like cracked or something. It seems like that's one feature they're going for, is that you can be sort of more of a battle-worn Skitarius, which is kind of cool. And they have also said that this feature, and this was something I was worried about, is that the cosmetics that you equip, this will stay consistent. So your eye color and your metal color, your metal types, all that stuff, your metal degradation state, which they'll talk about down here, all that is going to be consistent whatever cosmetics you're using. So if you end up having a Vanguard set like this, well, then you will be able to see that reflected in the different color or whatever it is. So, you know, you've got a look that looks like this one right here. And so that will instead be the color of metal that you've chosen, and the ocular little implant there will be the color that you've chosen. So that's really, really good, because I was worried about that for a little bit, that with the different, you know, obviously if you buy a hat in the game right now and put it on, it doesn't change your hair color or your skin color, or at least it's not supposed to. Sometimes it glitches out and it does. But if you do equip a new face mask or a new chest plate for a Skitarii, you are effectively changing your skin color for a Skitarii. So that could mess with people's cosmetic looks. The fact that you can keep that consistent, that stays across cosmetics, is really cool. So that's awesome. Now, going back over here, we have the eye color, but then we have mechanical limbs. So as I was saying last time when I was talking about these, you know, we all love the regular mechanical hand, but I was hoping there was more detailed or different types of hands, and they have in fact confirmed that. There are different models for the arms and legs, and you can pick from different metallic textures for the primary and secondary metals. So imagining you could do like maybe one has like an accent metal, like a gold on a sort of a more like steel color, or you could do two of the same if you wanted less flare. And then of course the arms and hands are going to show up in first person. That means that whatever you change, you're going to be able to see it on your gun, on your sword, which is awesome. I think that's, you know, one of the only parts you can see about your character, so it makes sense. And the really cool part is you can add separate settings for oxidation level. So you can be either like a rusty old Skitarius who's been beaten around the desert for a couple centuries, or you can be a nice and shiny C-3PO style. You know, you polish your arms and legs every night to a mirror sheen. That, I wonder, you know, Skitarii are at their core human, right? Do you think that they're like racist? Do you think that they're like, oh my god, that guy over there, he's copper, fucking copper? You know, which one do you think is like the one that people don't like? You know, just comment it down below. And do you think there's any like bigotry between people or Skitarii that are we're calling them people? I don't know, between like having more polished metal, or is it considered like, you know, sort of trust your elders if you're more oxidized? Food for thought. I don't know if anyone's thought about this stuff, but I'll be the first to discuss race dynamics with the Skitarius. Voice modulation is up next. Voice modulation, this is going to be probably the coolest part for a lot of people. This class, confirmed now, has 4 different personalities. So just like the Ogren, who has only one gender, male, well, at least that we can play. Give us female Ogren. This class is going to have 4 different personalities because they are agender, right? So it won't really have like any different feeling to the voice. I think you can maybe make the voice seem more female or more male. Remains to be seen. I imagine there probably are some underlying voice actors that seem through there, as they're alluding to here. But yeah, for like the Ogren, right, he's one gender, he gets 4 personalities, but every other character in the game is 3 personalities with 2 different genders. So you just have the exact same lines that are read by 2 different voice actors. This one is going to be 4 different ones, and I'm very eager to see what different distinct personalities there are. And that's awesome. Then past that, of course, they've alluded to previously the voice customization system, which we thought was just going to be like timbre, you know, sort of a pitch up, pitch down, more robot, less robot, but it seems like it's a lot more than that. So the first thing that they address that you get here is the pitch, but there's some other stuff correlated with this. So when you make it lower or make it higher, that happens, but also there are certain frequency ranges where it's not very consistent, where your voice modulator might kind of like go up and down, or, you know, the thing being here is that like a lot of these Skitarii have been alive for 1,000 years. So they're machinery parts. It makes sense that some of them might not be the most functional. So you might have a slightly faulty voice modulation system where it might shift unpredictably, or it might be one where it's less modulated. You could go less modulated and hear more of the formerly human voice underneath it. Then they have another parameter for a delay effect. So you can do this in such a way that if you ever mess with like a voice mod or a voice changer, one of those programs, you can make yourself sound like a chorus of voices, or you can have it be an echo, like a minor echo after your voice as it's like inside the helmet. And this also has some unexpected effects, some unpredictable variations with other sound effects. And they have said there's other sound effects that can go on here. And this is the final parameter down here. There's distortion. So you can add like clicking and rustling and some sort of static distortion to the voice to make it seem like it's coming through an intercom or a speaker. Pretty cool. I can't wait to see what people come up with here. You know, it's going to be a far cry from what we have currently, where you know those distinct voices. I think all these voices are going to feel very, very different. You'll only really know the personalities by what they're actually saying. And I hope there is enough room to let these characters breathe and actually say what they need to say too, because I do want to hear what they have to say. Now, yeah, but that's all they have to share for us today. So we'll be learning more about the class soon. It says coming soon, so it doesn't even say next week like it did in the last one, so maybe even tomorrow. The next feature highlight is about the Skitarii's game design and talents. So I am super, super jazzed for that. If you guys are too, make certain you are subscribed, because, you know, we won't miss it here. I'm not going to miss talking about something like that. That is absolutely what I am the most excited about, is to learn more about that stuff. So I'll be all over that. Hopefully you are too. I'll see you next time, guys. Mr. Riata here. Bye-bye.